G'day legends, welcome back. Bit of a change of pace this week. Thought I'd do a bit of a Q&A, getting lots of questions about the build, obviously through the YouTube platform. People are really interested in what's going on, but also just on the socials and other places. And I put up a bit of a post just to try and entice a few questions as well from people. So yeah, I've got a fair few, and I've tried to just compile them into the ones that are most common. A lot of people ask me questions that are pretty similar, so I'll try and nail a few here. Just a reminder that there's a competition still running on the channel for the first 1,000 subscribers. By the time this goes live, probably around 700 or something subscribers, so there's still spots there for about 300 more to enter. Aussie residents, follow me on Instagram and subscribe, and yeah, go over and check that video out for all the instructions. But good prize from Terralium there on the LED lights. I'll jump into the first question. Ben Ladlow he asked about, do I need to get an engineer to sign off on the chassis and also the whole design before, with the materials and everything I use before construction? Depending on where you are in the world, I guess. I know viewers on this channel are global, but where I am in Victoria, Australia, very little in the way of engineering involvement to get sign off. I actually did run the design past the mechanical engineer that I know, structural mechanical engineer, two friends actually, and they were pretty happy with the thickness of the steel and the design and everything. But by law, I don't need to do anything. I just have to make sure that the design complies with the Vehicle Safety Bulletin, VSB 1 Edition 6, I think, or something like that it's called, in Australia, which sets out a few parameters. That's all about to change, and I keep talking about my deadline to get the project done by the end of June. It was meant to change here last month, but I think it's been extended another 12 months now. So all that pressure and stuff I put on myself was good motivation to get it finished by that deadline, but it turns out I probably didn't need to in the end. Ollie's off grid. What size rims did you install with the Tough Ride suspension? 17-inch, I think, 265 60 R17 tyres on those rims. I had a long and hard debate about this at the beginning of the project. I was trying to match the offset stud pattern and the circumference of my Wild Track rims, and I actually bought a set of Wild Track rims to put on the van, and you'll see that coming up, I think, a bit about that in future episodes. But the center hole of the actual rim is not big enough to fit over the hub on the caravan wheels, which was a pain in the bum. I've consequently got 5 of those if anyone wants to buy them, standard Wild Track rims. Anyway, I'd specified offset on the suspension and hubs to Tough Ride when I bought them at the same as what my ute is, and that caused me a bit of grief later on, because trying to find load rated rims with the offset that I specified was a bit of a pain. I ended up finding some close enough, which was good, that are within the load rating. But yeah, so that's the size I went with. I've had quite a few people ask me during the chassis build what size the steel was. I'm not sure if I said it in the episodes or not, but it's a galvanized steel. We call it Duragal, this brand in Australia. So that's it there. That's the main rails of the chassis, and the cross members were made out of that, 150mm by 50mm and 3mm thick. I think in the old measures for our American colleagues, that's 6" by 2" and maybe 1/8 thick. Don't quote me on that. So that was the main chassis rails, and then for the remainder, it's the same thickness but just 2" 50 by 50 for basically the outside frame, wall supports and that sort of stuff. Ben Livingston, what program did you use to design? So quite a few people ask me this. It's SketchUp. It's a Google product. It's just web-based. You just go to the website and you're off and running, set up an account. It's free. It's fantastic. I was drawing stuff on iPad drawing programs, sketching on paper, doing all sorts of stuff, and I thought I had it nailed until I found SketchUp and then drew it and realised it was all wrong and things weren't going to work. when you put things into millimetre accuracy on a 3D model, it makes so much difference. And if you're going to do this, I'd highly recommend getting on SketchUp, even if you've got an existing build that you pile the way through, measure it up and put it in there, because it just helps with spatial, the aspects of where you're going to put stuff. I do get a lot of questions about the materials I've used for the build, and as I get to each of those episodes, you'll obviously see a bit on those, but I'll just quickly do a summary here so you've got a bit of an idea. That's pure light, which is the internal wall, so around the bed frame and internal structures is this stuff. It's a PVC. I'll put some details down on the screen because I don't know the exact technical parameters of it, but I'll put it down there. It's been really easy to work with. It's lightweight, it's waterproof, it's easy to cut, it's got good screw retention. But it does mark easily. I've noticed it dints and also gets scuff marks on it which don't come off. It can be 2-pack coated. I'll just have to see how that goes. It's got a lot of surface area to take impacts inside, so it could wear badly, but we'll see how it goes over time. For the outside, obviously PVC, it's a fiberglass composite material. This is about 28 mil thick. I think it's 1.6 mil walls on the outside, which are fiberglass, plastic reinforced fiberglass. Again, I'll put the details down here because I don't know the exact terminology. And then it's a 25 mil foam core. That's the cutout for one of the windows. You can reinforce that as well, which I've done in a lot of areas with PVC. I'll cover that in a bit of detail when I get to the wall standing up episodes later on. And the flooring, I've already covered this, I think, in episode 6, but this is a thermalite. It's really strong, lightweight, waterproof, obviously water resistant, doesn't need any sort of sealing or anything, easy to work with. Only problem is it's really itchy. Oh my God, the dust that comes off that when you're cutting it and drilling it, and for days your body will itch. So just be aware of that, I guess, if you use it. It's quite expensive too, but I think it's probably the premium product for flooring, in my opinion. That's about it. Kevin McKinney, how did you go with registration? Yeah, so that you would have seen on socials, I did get it done. That was a breeze in the end. A lot of people ask this question because of all the rules changing that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, I just rolled into the local authority and with a form filled out and a credit card, and they did an inspection, walked around it, did some measurements, wrote down a few things from the registration plate, VIN plate, and walked out of there with number plates, which was great. Multiple people have asked me what's it cost, what's the build cost. I'm actually going to do a special episode later on after the build series, actually, just around budget and where I went wrong, where I saved some money, how I saved money. I'll run through that in a special episode after the build series, so sorry, you're going to have to wait for that. A few people have asked what am I going to do with the channel after episode 20. I'm just going to drop off a cliff or disappear into the ether. I'm not really sure. I've been overwhelmed actually by the amount of support, the amount of people that are really interested in this process, the amount of subscribers that have come on board. It's been fantastic. So it'd be a travesty to just let it go, but I'm interested in your thoughts actually, where you'd like to see more content from. I'm definitely going to do modification episodes. There's a few things I've already got in the mix that I need to change on this or improve or adapt. So there'll be stuff on that. Things like putting a bike carrier on the front where I'm sitting here, drawers in that front box behind me, and diesel heater install. The list goes on. I'll be making some gear as well just for camping. I want to make a little rocket stove and fire pit, which will probably make up an episode. But obviously I'm going to be taking it on adventures, and that'll probably be the main part of the channel, I'd say, moving forward. Let me know if that's the sort of stuff you want to see. I've got to drag it up some goat tracks and see if I can get it dirty and have a bit of fun along the way. I've got a few toys that go in the van that will help with that. I won't let the cat out of the bag with that yet, but that's coming later on as well. Something that floats maybe. So yeah, that's probably where the channel will go in that direction. But yeah, I'm really keen on your feedback. What would you want to see more of, I guess? JD asked why I chose independent over a solid axle. There's a few reasons. I'm pretty lazy, didn't want to have to, so I like the airbag set up where I can just walk into site, and if it's unlevel, just toggle a couple of switches and get the van level. That's a big plus for me around having independent suspension. I think for off-road durability, clearance and ride, I reckon airbags are good, and also independence good. The other big reason for me is with the airbags and independent is the Tear's 1500, quite light. ATM I've put at 2400, which encompasses, I've got a 2.8 ton suspension limitation. I've got tyres and rims that are above the 2.4 ton as well. I figured 900 kilos is heaps of payload. I'll never need to go over that. So I've set it at 2.4 tonnes. So there's potential that I could be riding down the road at 1500 kilos, or I could be riding down the road close to 2.4 tonne. That's a big variation. So trying to get a solid axle or springs, solid spring like coils or leaves, that accommodate when you've got nothing in it versus when you've got a lot in it. If it's light on a heavy spring, it'll be bouncing down the road like crazy and shake it to pieces. So I like the idea of the airbags and independent suspension because I can load it up, put a bit more pressure in the bags when she's heavy, let a bit out, and keep the same ride height the whole time. That was my logic anyway. A lot of people ask, where did I get the front box from? Yeah, that comes up a lot actually. I just designed that on Sketchup myself. And then I quoted it at a number of places and found Aussie toolboxes in Melbourne. They're on the other side of Melbourne from me. It was a pretty big drive, couple hour drive to get around there and pick it up. But really good crew there. I'll put their website down here so you can get in touch with them if you want to. But price point was great, quality's fantastic, and they turned it around really quickly. I've recorded this across a few weeks as questions came in on various platforms, so I'm jumping around a bit. But yeah, I got a message from Scott Burton just asking how long it's all taken to lock up and to rego and internal fit outs and stuff. It was about 5 months. I think I started mid to late December, and then I had it at the rego office in June. Most of June I was crook with COVID or overseas, so I didn't actually use much of that month. So it was about 5 months, I'd say, and that's weekends, public holidays, and I took a bit of annual leave as well. So I don't know, I'm going to actually tally up the amount of man hours it was across the whole build when it's finished. Scott's question was how long to lock up. Yeah, about 5 months to rego, which is I call lock up, pretty much done. But then the internals, I'm doing it now actually. You can see flashing lights and wires hanging out everywhere in there. Just putting all the lighting and everything inside and all the stuff after I got it back from rego. I got to put solar panels and everything on. That's all taking quite a long time. I did actually take a couple of weekends off because I hadn't stopped for that 5 months and I just needed a break from it, to be honest. So yeah, I'm just trying to get that last little push. I reckon I'm probably a month away of weekends, just mucking around with it before I get it out on the road and take it camping. So got to drop it off at the Sparky too and get all the 240 wiring done pretty soon, in about 2 weeks time. And then, yeah, we're ready to roll. Decals, yeah, quite a few people asking me, am I going to tart the van up when I finish? I might have a few ideas in the works there. My logo, the feathers, in Perpetual Transient, I may try and incorporate those into a design later on. My neighbour's actually a sign writer. He's offered to do it, so I've got to work that out yet. I'm just trying to get everything else finished, and then that'll be one of the last things I do. But yeah, I do plan to make it less of a white box, more interesting, hopefully. Anyway, we'll call it a day there. Thanks for joining in. A bit of a different pace today, but we'll be back onto the build series next week. Cheers.